Okay, so this is the next notes. So we've already done the notes for parallel. We've done this 1 through 7. We covered that already. Now, if you don't have the notes, you weren't here, get it from another partner. Today we are going to do perpendicular, right? So perpendicular, remember, to be able to be perpendicular, let's say we have a line like this. To be perpendicular, we have to create a 90 degrees angle. So that, as you can see, this is 90 degrees. This is perpendicular. So it's like making a plus sign or an X, right? It has to make that 90 degrees, right? So that is perpendicular. Now, to be able to do perpendicular, we need the slope, and it has to be the reciprocal. So I'll give you an example. So let's say the slope is 2, just an example. And the reciprocal of that would be the opposite, so 1/2, negative 1/2. That would be the slope of a perpendicular. So that is reciprocal. So the perpendicular, it has to be the reciprocal. Okay? So that's what we're going to do for the perpendicular. As you remember, parallel had the same slope. Well, perpendicular has the reciprocal slope. All right? So that's just an example. If you want to write it down, go ahead. Let's go ahead and do number 1. All right? So let's do number 1. So as you can see, in this case, we are, or you know what? Let's skip number 1. Oh, never mind. Let's do 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and do 2 of them. All right. So we got x1, we got y1, we got the slope, and slope is 1. There's right here. All right. So that is our slope. That is our point. We can write it in point slope. So y minus y1 equals to m parentheses x minus x1. So we're going to replace the y1 with a negative 2. That becomes a positive equals to the slope, which is 1 parentheses x minus x1, which is a 3. A negative 3. So that becomes positive. All right, so that's what we have. So now I want to go ahead and I want to distribute the 1. I want to get y by itself. You see, like this one's y by itself, so I want to do the same thing. I want to get y by itself. So 1 times x is 1x. 1 times 3 is plus 3. And on this other side, it stays the same. Now we're almost done. We need y by itself, so I have to subtract that 2. So minus 2. Minus 2. If I do it on one side, I have to do it to the other side. And I get my answer, which is y equals to 1x plus 1. All right, now, if it were to be parallel, this would have been your answer. So as you could see, the slope is 1. The slope here is 1. So that is parallel. However, we don't want parallel. We want perpendicular. So to be able to make it perpendicular, we got to erase the slope. And remember, if the slope here is 1, we have to do the reciprocal, so the opposite, so 1 over 1, and it has to be negative. Now this wasn't a good example, that's why I wanted to do number 2 as well. So we're going to put negative 1 over 1, or you can just leave it as negative 1. As negative 1, okay? So that's the reciprocal, that's the perpendicular, that is for number 1. Now, I didn't like that example too good because of the 1. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do number 2 now. All right, I want you to try it, see if you can get it. Now, as I told you, I didn't like example number 1, so I'm going to do number 2. So this is x1, y1, same steps. The slope for this one is 2. Now, the slope for the reciprocal slope, we know it's perpendicular, so we have to do the reciprocal. So m is do the opposite, so 1 over 2, and it has to change into a negative. Now, if this slope was negative, then it would have changed to positive. Just do the opposite, okay? So that's what we have. So we're going to put it in our formula, y minus y1, which is negative 1. That turns to positive. Slope, instead of putting this slope 2, we're going to put the reciprocal one, which is this one. This is the reciprocal, so it's perpendicular. So negative 1/2, then parentheses, x minus x1, which is 4. Okay, that's what we have. Now all we need to do is get y by itself. So let's go ahead and distribute and get y by itself. So that would be negative 1/2 x, and then negative 1/2 times a negative 4. That's going to become a positive 2. So It's like saying -4 divided by -2. All right, so that's what we're going to get. And over here, it's going to stay the same, y plus 1. And we're almost done. We just got to get rid of this 1. So -1 on both sides, -1. And that is your final answer. Y equals to -1/2 x plus 1. Okay, that's it. That's our answer. Now let's look at the slope. The slope is the reciprocal, yes or no? Let's look, compare it. The slope here was a 2. Slope here is a -1/2. That is the reciprocal slope. So that is perpendicular. That's what makes it perpendicular. Now, as you could see, we don't really care about the y. The y can be different. It doesn't matter. We just care about slope if it's the reciprocal. And it is. Okay, so that's how you do perpendicular. All right? So let's go to the back. All right? Well, you know what? Let's do number 8. Okay? Let's go ahead and do number 8. All right, number 8, they give us 4x plus 2y equals to 8. All right, we've already done this over here, right? Over here on number 7. So you should already get y equals. So I'm going to go by this fast. Now, I want to get y by itself, so I'm going to do MDR. So move. So we're going to move the 4x minus 4x on both sides. Minus 4x. So I already moved, and I get 2y equals to -4x plus 8. Now, these two cannot combine because they don't have x. If they did have an x, then it would be able to combine. But since 8 doesn't have an x, we cannot combine. All right, so now then we already did move. D stands for divide, so we got to divide by 2 now. Now, most of the classes said that they like dividing by 2 this way on everything. Okay, so then 2 goes away. Y equals to -2x. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. There we go. That's what we have. Now, we need our answer now. Now, if we read the question, it says, find the equation of the line that has a y-intercept of 2 and that is perpendicular. So we need the reciprocal slope. The reciprocal, I spelled it wrong. Let me put it in again. Reciprocal slope. So the slope here would be -2. So we need the reciprocal slope, so the opposite. So that would have been, all right, so it's -2, so it's going to be positive, and it's going to change to 1/2. So that's the reciprocal, the opposite. So, and we get x, and it says we want a y-intercept of 2, so plus 2. That's it. That's your answer. So you can see the slope is the reciprocal, the opposite, and it did change the sign, right? And that's it. That's pretty much it. All right, let's go to the back. We're almost done with our notes. Okay. So as you can see, we have this line here. Right, and this line is parallel to which axis? Well, x-axis, right? So this line is parallel to the x-axis. All right, and it is perpendicular to which axis? Well, look, it makes a 90 degrees right here. So that's perpendicular to the y-axis. And now, equation, it says, how do you write this? Now, look at the line. Which axis is it hitting? Which axis is it hitting? It's hitting the y-axis. So we're going to write y equals, and where is it hitting at? At 4, so y equals to 4. Now this has no slope because it's flat. So if you were to do rise over run, rise is 0, run, you can run you can run whatever you want, but if it's 0 divided by anything, it's still going to be 0. It doesn't matter how much you run, right? 0 divided by anything, it's still going to be 0. So this is a no slope, has no slope, or 0 slope, right? I like 0 slope better. Let's put 0 slope. So 0 slope. Okay, that's it. We're done. All right, next one. Next one, so we have this line now, and this line, it's saying parallel to which axis? Well, the y-axis, look, right here, y-axis. So it's parallel to the y-axis. And it's obviously perpendicular to the x-axis. It makes a 90 degree. So x-axis. Perpendicular to the x-axis. Now the equation here, let's look at this line. Is it hitting the x-axis or y-axis? It's hitting the x-axis right here. So we're going to call this x equals to, and let's see, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So -5. And that is it. That's your answer. Now this equation is an undefined slope, because if you do rise and run, well, you can rise any any amount. So let's rise 5. It doesn't matter how many you rise, but how many times do you run? 0. You don't run, so you cannot divide by 0. So this is undefined slope. Okay, that's it. We're done with the notes. So now this worksheet, well, not that one, this one. This is the worksheet I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and write odds only. So you're going to do 1, 3, 5, and go to the bottom, and you're going to do 7, 9, and 11. And that's it. You're going to turn it into day. Okay? Now in the back, it does give you some more stuff. So you can just do 13 and odd 15. That's it. Okay? So that's it. That's all you're going to do. All right? So if you do need extra help, you can stick with me. And I'm going to go over some of the evens. Okay? So I'm going to do evens. So if you need more help, keep watching this video. If you don't, go ahead and try to do it on your own. See if you can finish it. So I'm going to go ahead and do some evens right now. So we got x1, y1, and it's saying here it's a parallel, right? So we need the same slope, so m is -4. So all we got to do is put in point slope. So point slope is y minus y1, which is 5, equals to slope, which is -4, x minus x1. x1 is -2. So that changes to positive, right? So then we need to get it in slope intercept. We need to make it look like y equals. So we need to get rid of the parentheses. So I'm going to do that. So -4x and -4 times +2 is -8. We're almost done. We got to get rid of that 5. So I'm going to do +5, and we're going to get y equals now. You see how y is by itself? And +5. Sorry, if you do it on one side, you got to do it to the other side. -4x, and that will give you -3. We're done. That's our answer. As you can see, the slope is exactly the same thing, but the b's are different. So that is parallel, right? Slopes have to be the same. B has to be different. So that's how you do those. Let me go over, well, I think you get the hang of it, parallel. Let's go ahead and do perpendicular. Now this is perpendicular. So it's pretty much the same steps, but x1, y1. But the only thing is that we need the m, the slope, to be the reciprocal. As you can see, this is not in the form I like. I wanted to make it look like this, y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to get rid of the x, so we have this. And that's not the way I like it. I would like it in slope intercept, so I'm going to get y by itself. So minus x, right? MDR, remember that? Move, divide, reduce. That cancels. We get -6y equals to -x plus 2. Those cannot combine, so you just put it on the side. And then the next step we removed. Next is divide by -6. Divide this by -6 and this by -6. And we get y equals to 1/6. 2 negatives makes a positive. And this would reduce to -1/3. Okay, so that's it. All right, so our slope is 6. Okay, so as you know, if we want a reciprocal slope, we have to do the opposite. So the reciprocal slope would be -6. So change the sign and do the opposite. So this one was on the bottom, so it's going to move to the top. So that's going to be our reciprocal slope, right? So that's going to be for perpendicular. Now we got this. We got the x1, y1. So y minus y1, which is 4, equals to -6. We need the reciprocal slope, parentheses x minus and x1, which is 2. All we got to do now is get the y by itself. So let's go ahead and distribute, and we get -6x, and that's -6 times a -2, that's plus 12, y minus 4. All right, we're almost done. We got to get y by itself, so I have to do the +4 on both sides. +4, that cancels. And we get our final answer. I don't have enough space, I'm going to put it up here. -6x, and that is 12 plus 4 is +16. Go ahead and box that, and that is your answer. All right. Now it took a little bit more time because this was not in y equals mx plus b. So I had to transform into that. So as you can see, look at your slope. Look at this slope, the one you create over here. Okay. Or is that the reciprocal? Yes, it is. It's the opposite and it's the opposite sign. So that is the reciprocal. So if it is the reciprocal, it is perpendicular now. Okay? All right. Any questions? Now, if you were to graph these two, you can see how they are 90 degrees. All right. Let's go to the back. All right. Now to the back, I'm going to do the events as I told you. Did I just do an odd? Let me see. No, it was an even. We're doing good. All right, so let's see, number 14. We have the point of 6 and 9. Now it says, write the equation of a line that goes through the given point and it's parallel to the x-axis. So let's go ahead and draw a graph for this one. All right, you're going to do that for 13. So I'm going to draw a graph, and it's saying at 6, 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and up 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, it's kind of up here, so it's right there. Okay. All right, so it says write the equation of a line that goes through the given point and it's parallel to the x-axis. So I want to do a parallel to the x-axis. It's going to look something like that. All right, I didn't put it in the exact point, but it is parallel. So right about here. Okay. You know what? I'm going to draw it again. I didn't like that point. So it should be right here. I didn't like that. All right, so can we do it again? All right, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So right about here, okay? So let's try it again. All right, so it's parallel to the x-axis. All right, there we go. Now that is parallel, all right? So given point parallel to x-axis, write the equation, all right? So, man, why did I do this graph? It says write the equation. I didn't read correctly. Write the equation. All right, so let's go ahead and write the equation. Y equals 2. And where is that equation? Which axis is it hitting? Now, why did I even put y? Well, which axis is it hitting? It's hitting the y-axis, and where at? It's hitting it at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's hitting at 9, so y equals to 9. That's it, you're done. Okay, then it went kind of glitchy in there, so I had to redo this part. Okay, so you did get 14, so I had to erase the other stuff. Kind of went glitchy. So next one, 16. So let's go ahead and plot that point to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and up 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so that point is going to be right up here. So run 10, up 15, right here. Right now it's saying write the equation of a line that goes through the given point and it's parallel to the y-axis. So this is the y-axis, so it's going to be parallel to the y-axis, or right about here. As you can see, that is parallel to this y-axis. Okay. So now it says write the equation. So we're going to write. So first of all, where is it hitting? Which axis is it intersecting? So it's intersecting at the x-axis. So we're going to write. Now the other one we wrote y equals because it was intersecting the y. In this case, we're going to write x equals because it's intersecting the x. And where is it intersecting at? At 10. So x equals to 10. Now, the other one, the number, I think 14 was y9, right? Is correct? I think so. All right, so that is it. So this has a, if you would do rise over run, you couldn't have done the run, so this was undefined slope, and because you can rise any number, but you can't run, so you cannot divide by 0, so that's undefined slope. And this would have been your answer. Okay. And the other one, well, the other one you could have rise as much as you wanted. I mean, you could have, not rise with 0, but you could have run any number. It doesn't really matter. But 0 divided by any number is still 0, so that's a no slope, or I prefer 0 slope. Okay, that's it. All right, go ahead and do the rest. I want you to turn it in. Okay, make sure you turn it into the sub, or that little bin, depending on your period. All right, I'll grade it on Monday, so make sure you turn it in today. All right, class, be good to the sub. Be respectful. I'll see you on Monday.